Alright, what is up friends? Today we are here on the Exway Hydro wheels, and these are Exway's latest urethane / rubber offering, and they come in at 105 millimeters with a core made of plastic surrounded by a layer of urethane and then surrounded with a layer of rubber, which makes for a very interesting combination of theoretically efficiency and grip. Now, they also claim that these are good for riding when it's wet out. However, sorry to disappoint you, but it doesn't really rain here, so we are not going to be able to test that while I have these wheels, unfortunately. Shout out to Exway for sending these over for me to review. We will be doing my normal 100-mile review on these, as well as all the other wheels that I have in stock right now. This video that I'm recording right now is the efficiency test, and it will be coming out earlier than the review. I don't know when the review will come out yet, but I will be working on it, and I'll let you guys know when that happens. So, the Hydro wheels. They are a very interesting look, and they've got a treaded pattern on their outside rubber surface. And this makes for a few interesting things. One, you have tread on urethane / rubber, which is not very common. Some people may be familiar with the Harfang like machined urethane wheels, which I think is very interesting. They have this thing called rain grooves, I believe was their coined term, and those are supposed to do well in the wet as well. I don't have any of those, but I think they look pretty cool. As for these ones, their tread pattern is quite interesting. I think just by looking at it and comparing to some of the rain tires that cars have, I think it'll do decently well at repelling water out towards the sides of your board instead of just slipping. And the main idea for rain tires is that you're able to push water away while still maintaining contact with the ground instead of hydroplaning. And urethane is known to be extremely slippery. Rubber is less slippery. So hopefully this will be a good combination of the two. Now, we're going to talk about my normal subjects on this efficiency test. And I have to mention that today it is very windy, which is highly unfortunate. But we're going to do this anyway because I have time to record it now. And if this number is astronomical, I will just redo it later and put that number in the full review. However, since we're here doing this today already, I'm just going to apply the 3% correction factor for this video, and we'll see what it comes out to. So, let's talk about the first subject, which is vibration absorption. I changed my mind, and we're going to talk about the impact absorption first, because the first part of this ride is on a bumpy sidewalk. So, how these do impact absorption wise? Well, they're all right. They are better than just plain hard urethane, and I would say they're marginally better than nice urethane, but they're not nearly as good as the hollow wheels. They're not nearly as good as the Onzra 115s either, but that's to be expected. Anyway, I was saying that is to be expected because those are specifically designed to combat those impacts. And for these, not so much, but they do feel nice. They do a good job at absorbing impact and dispersing it through the rubber and urethane, so they're decent. I think they're an upgrade over basic wheels, and even though they're a little bit bigger, they don't feel bouncy like with the 110 millimeter Torquewords wheels, so you have that benefit as well. Next up, let's talk a little bit about vibration absorption. Now, interestingly enough, these have the grooves, but they don't produce any vibration. If you recall from the Mad Eastgate 105 video, the Mad Eastgate wheels have a little bit of vibration that's produced by the wheel due to the holes in the back of it. But these, even though they have this tread pattern, do not have any vibration issues, and it's not really anything that you can notice. They do a good job at reducing vibration though, and I would say that they fall somewhere in the middle of comfort and vibration dampening sense. I don't know what I'm talking about. They fall somewhere in the middle. They're decent, but they're definitely not nearly as good as the Momentum Boards wheels. Again, to be expected, because the Momentum Boards wheels are the only wheel like themselves with a huge void in the center of the wheel. Now, we're coming up to the higher speed section of the ride, and we're going to test the grip on these. And I'll give you a small spoiler. It's pretty good. Now, I've heard a couple people say that they think these wheels are not as grippy as some other ones, and I'm not exactly sure where that's coming from. It definitely grips a little bit differently than some other ones, but they're not slippery, that's for sure. So, I'll give you another close-up here. I really like the tread pattern on these. It looks really sweet. Kind of reminds me of being on like a little car. I'm not super sold on the outside part, but you know, personal preference. I'm gonna see if I can give you guys a nice sound test of these, because when you're carving on these, they sound really interesting due to that shape and addition of those treads. All right, so grip on these wheels. Honestly, it's great. It's better than normal urethane due to that tread pattern and the rubber. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily as good as a pure rubber wheel, but it's definitely above average. I think that the tread pattern gives you a little bit extra grip side to side when you're carving. I'm going to put some of the camera sound through here, right here, so you can hear what I'm talking about. You kind of hear the cornering sound that these make. It sounds grippy. I know it sounds weird to say, but it sounds like the wheels are doing a good job of gripping the pavement and kind of deforming to give you the most grip possible. I'm not sure if that's a combination of the rubber and the urethane design, or if it's just due to the outside having treads on it. Either way, the grip is pretty good. It's not as good as the hollow wheels, and it's not quite as good as the 100's either, but it's definitely a step above urethane, and if that's what you're looking for, that's what you will find with these. Again, I think the main selling factor of these is supposed to be that they're good in water, but we're not going to test that because I don't have a waterproof board and it doesn't rain here, so you know, it is what it is. But I'm definitely enjoying these so far, and hopefully some of this info has given you a good basic idea of what they're about, and I'll catch up with you in a little bit. So I've been riding these a little further at a little bit higher speed on this part of the route, and I'm starting to understand a little bit of what the people were talking about when they say the grip is a little bit sketchy. When you're at higher speeds, it's not quite as confidence inspiring in terms of how planted you feel on the ground. I don't know if that makes sense, but I get what they're saying. However, I still think the grip on these is good, better than Cloudwheels, better than Cloudwheel Rovers, and pretty close to rubber. It is rubber, but not in the sense of the whole wheel being rubber like it is with hollow wheels or the 100's or some of the others that I've tested. Alright, so we're here on Rolling Resistance Hill, where I usually test out how well I think these roll, and I will say the rolling resistance of these is very low. I think that is partly due to the fact that the inner core is urethane instead of solid rubber. So I would say these are comparable in rolling resistance to regular urethane. Still not quite as good as the hollow wheels, since they have that tiny contact patch, and not as good as a much larger wheel, but overall, they're decent. A lot of the categories, wow, it's quite windy. A lot of the categories for these wheels seem to be coming in somewhere in the middle, which is kind of what I would expect. But it's interesting that they decided to try a hybrid design like this. It's very windy right now. We're going over Vibration Bridge. It's handling these okay. Not as good as hollow wheels. I know I keep saying that, but they were the last wheels on this board and I've gotten kind of spoiled, so. Yeah, I'll definitely feel it a little bit more. But yeah, decent rolling resistance, and I think that's all we usually talk about, so I'm just gonna record a little more footage and then I'll catch up with you guys at the end when we get the number. Alright guys, we're here at the end of the efficiency test. It was quite windy at the end, so it'll be interesting to see what this number comes out to. So let's pull out the app and check it out. Stop recording, and it is November 24th, 7 miles, and oh wow, there we go. Our number is 22.2 watt hours per mile. That is quite good. I'm actually pretty impressed. That's lower than I expected. I'm still going to apply a little bit of correction factor just because of the wind, but that is not bad at all. However, I will say that this is just the first ride, and we're going to get numbers from all of the rides that I do. And when I do the full review on these, whenever that's going to be, I'll have all those numbers and we'll get a better idea of how their efficiency fares over time rather than just one singular case. So anyways, the ride was fun. I like these wheels so far. They're probably not my favorite wheel ever, but they sound cool when you're riding. I have to imagine they'd be slightly better when it's damp out, and the rubber is decently grippy. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna take 1 second at the end of this video here to do the is it real rubber test, aka can you make a small smoke cloud. So I'll show you guys that, but other than that, stay safe, keep on riding, and peace out.